Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Two Shores, One Story. I'm your host, Matthew, and today I wanted to talk about my weekend. But before I do that, I realized that I posted my first podcast episode September 18th, and that is this week. So it has been a year. Kind of. I had a little bit of trouble getting started with the podcast in September to December, and I kind of was more serious about it in January. But I still want to celebrate that I've reached a year, and I have been more consistent with it since January. So yeah, I think that's really cool. I'm excited to have more guests on the show. I'm excited to talk about more things. Hopefully, this episode or this podcast has been useful in some way, or at least interesting, because I seem to run into interesting things. And yeah, so thank you again. Thank you for listening. Yeah, I'm excited to release more episodes. With that, I wanted to talk about my weekend because it was a bit special, because we had a 3-day weekend in Japan, because Monday was Respect the Elderly Day. So we had Monday off. So that was great. And my weekend was extremely busy, but in the best way possible. I told you, I think I said maybe, I don't know if it was last week or the week before that, but I told you that I was going to Kobe to see a violin concert, and it wasn't just any violin concert and blah, blah, blah. Well, I was able to go. There was no typhoon. Thank the Lord. Actually, it was really good weather. When we were in Kobe, me and my friend were in Kobe, and it was really just a spectacular day. Although I did have to wake up really early, I decided to take the train to Kobe. So I had to wake up early. I went directly from Takayama. So I woke up. I left my house around 5:30, maybe 6. Then I went to McDonald's to get some breakfast, 2 hash browns and 5 chicken nuggets. And then I went to the train station. Caught the Hira Express at 6:45 and made my way to Nagoya. Then I caught the Shinkansen all the way to Osaka. I went to Shin Osaka, and then I had to transfer, and that was the easiest transfer of my life. I just had to go, it was same, what's it called? What do you call it? Same area. So I just had to walk across, and I went on the Shinkansen that was going to Hiroshima, but I stopped at Shinkobe. Yeah, so I left around 6:40. I left at 6:45 a.m. I missed a train at the first in Nagoya because there were so many people. I could not get in. So if you are taking the Shinkansen and if you have money, I suggest just reserving a seat, because you will be guaranteed to go on the Shinkansen. If you go on the non-reserved, it might be difficult. So that's a tip from me. Yeah. And I arrived around 10:40, met my friend, walking around trying to decide where to eat. We're in Kobe, so I kind of wanted beef, because Kobe is known for its beef. So we went to have gyukatsu, which is beef with breaded panko, and it was a difficult decision because there's so many good choices of cuts of beef that we could have, and I didn't know what to do. And I was like, well, maybe I should, have the most expensive, the beef tenderloin. But, just being there with my friend and going to the concert was special enough, so I kind of decided to hold back and then get a beef sirloin. I think that's what we got. So that was great. It was tasty and it was good for my budget. So that's also a good tip. I would suggest if you if you want to save money, just get something a bit less expensive and you can still enjoy it because you won't know. I don't know. I have no idea what beef tenderloin really tastes like. So, ignorance is bliss. So, yeah, it was good. And then my friend took me to, well, I don't know. It was like we're going to Chinatown, but I think we made our way to the harbor area. Really nice walk and really nice area. I quite liked it. It reminded me a little bit of Akarenga-jo or Akarenga, which is a red brick house in Yokohama, which is near Minato-Midai. So it's like a fun area, and that's like a shopping district. Really, really nice view of the water, and you could see Kobe Tower. It was really great. And it was perfect because we could just walk. I think we walked to the venue, which was Kobe Cultural Hall. And in the Culture Hall, there's different sizes of stages. The concert was held at the Chu Horu, or the medium hall. So I was just so excited because we're finally here. It's a really nice venue. So we're walking in and someone says, like, greets us. And he's like, oh, are you friends of Timothy? And I'm like, yeah, I am. I've seen him twice in Victoria. And my friends like added on, like, yeah, we're Canadian. So that was cool, a little nice interaction. And I'll get to more about that later. We enter, we get ready, we get our stuff, we get the program, and I'm just so excited. Like, I finally get to see this concert. I was like a kid in a candy store. I was just so excited to be there, and my friend was able to come, and I invited him to the last one, so it's really nice that we can finally do this. And everyone's just like, we're all ready. And first, it's the cellist. So there's a cellist, violinist, my friend, kind of, and pianist who accompanies. So the first performance was with the cellist and pianist, and he did 3 pieces from Beethoven, which I love. And it was just a very solemn, well, I don't know how to express it. It was a moment for sure, because we're getting ready, the lights dim, and you can see, it's really focused on this beautiful Stradivarius cello. And it's so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. And at that moment, I kind of got anxious because I was like, this is too quiet. But then he played and I was more centered in it. And I just was like, wow, and just watching him move, like he would shift down to get higher notes. The way he was doing his vibrato was so interesting. As a violinist player, I've never played cello, so I don't really know how easy it is. I do think that it's a bit easier to do vibrato with a cello because your arm is in a better position for it. But if there are any cello players, please let me know if that's true or not, because I really have no idea. I don't know. So, yeah, he played amazingly. But, for me, it wasn't the most exciting part. I was excited to see my friend Timothy play the violin, play the Stradivarius. So, he left. I think all the audience gave him another clap, and he came out again, and then he left, and then it was time for Timothy to come on stage. And I'm just so excited. I'm like, yeah, not like that. I was clapping very loudly to welcome him to the stage. And he gets set up and he plays 3 pieces from Grieg. And at first, I thought that Grieg wrote a famous piece in violin repertoire that's called Salut de Mort or Salut de Mort. I don't know. I can't speak French, so please excuse that R sound that I just made. Does not sound good on podcast, does it? but that's actually Alger, so I was wrong. I looked at it later, and it was not right. Grieg wrote the Peter Gynt suite, I believe. I don't know if that's Ghent, but it's Gynt, and you would know what that is because he wrote Morning and the Hall of the Mountain King, I believe. So Morning is like da 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 da, and then Hall of the Mountain King is da 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 da. So it was really just amazing, right? Like, it's just impressive. The way that Timothy plays is just, he's so expressive. Like, he dances with the music, his breathing, the way he plays, it's just all so wonderful to see. And I was really in love with the second movement, because the start is the pianist, and it's very magical kind of entrance, and then he plays, and it just was so good. I was so impressed. It was just amazing. And to hear him play his Stradivarius, and by the way, I did not know how old it was, but there was information on it with the program, and there was another book about all the violins and cellos and whatnot that the Nippon Music Foundation has given. His violin is from 1709. That is insane to me. Is that crazy? 1709. Like, I'm just gonna search like when Beethoven was born, because that's like my favorite composer. So just for some reference, this needs to be figured out. Okay, so Beethoven was born 1770, in the year 1770 in December. 1770. The violin that Timothy played is older than Beethoven. That is crazy. That is so crazy to me. Oh my goodness. And I got to see it. I got to witness him play it in person. Oh my gosh. Like, that is such a privilege. Such a privilege. I can't even believe it. Whoa. I'm just mind blown right now at the moment. Just figuring that out. That's actually crazy. Ooh. It's actually kind of cool because I think I talked about how I met Timothy. I don't remember, but I'll say it quickly. Like, when I was in Victoria doing my master's, I went to an orchestra performance, and it was my first ever orchestra performance, and he was playing, and he's from Victoria, so I was like really great, and I loved that performance. It moved me because I've never seen a symphony orchestra before. I've never heard one in person, so it was just really amazing. All the instruments, you could feel it. It was very tangible. And yeah, so I was part of a radio show with my friends. They had guests and I did not yet. So I was like, I'm gonna email him. If he says no, whatever. If he says yes, that's awesome. And, fortunately, he said yes. And yeah, I'm still thankful about that, but I also kind of feel embarrassed because what are we thinking? What was I thinking? This guy's a professional, world-renowned violinist. And here we are from good old Lethbridge, Alberta, and we have a radio show called The Hot Pot, and we mainly talk about music and food. That's what we really do. And here I am asking him. I know a little bit about classical music. My friends have no idea, so I was, it was interesting that way, but we did ask him like what his favorite McDonald's order was and that kind of stuff. And that, he has way better things to do than talk to us, but he did give us the time. And if you're listening to me, thank you for that, because that was very nice. Like, he's a professor. He's a professor at the University of Ottawa. He is the head of strings. And here we are asking him, what's your favorite order at McDonald's? What the heck? Anyways, he was my first performance that I saw in Victoria, and I got to see many after that. But then I had to leave Victoria, and he performed again So he was my first and last performance in Victoria, BC. And that time I did get to talk to him in person. And that was so cool to talk to him a little bit. I met his mom too, which is also cool. And yeah, like he's done all these amazing things. He's so accomplished. He's won many, many awards. And he's only 30. That's 2 years older than me, which is insane as well. I think, yeah, he's turning 30 this year because his birthday is December. Also the same month as Beethoven. So there you go. We have a connection that way too because Beethoven died on my birthday. Oh my gosh. Anyways, it was just really nice to see him play again for the third time, and this time he had a Stradivarius in hand. What a pleasure. What a pleasure. The program, the tour that they're doing is called Encounter with the Stradivarius, and I told him later like what an encounter that was. But it wasn't even done yet. We had a break after he played Grieg. Everyone's like, yeah, like woo, not like that, but they're classical. That's the classical. They were clapping quite a lot, and that was the classical version of woo. We had an intermission, and the person that talked to us at the beginning talked to us more like he was like, oh, like Timothy was so good. And I'm like, yeah, he's amazing. And we had a great talk with this person. He runs, he did English classes, I believe, for YMCA in Kobe. So he taught English classes. He's maybe organized that. And he was one of the sponsors for the event. So thank you so much for that. And it was really nice to talk to him. And then we got back into our seats. We're like, oh, that was so good. But it wasn't even over. But I was also sad, like, oh, it's going to be done soon. Unfortunately, all good things have to end. So I prepared myself for that. All three of them came on stage and they did a concerto from Mendelssohn. Who, amazing. And it was just so good. And I was really just drawn into Timothy's playing. It was just so good. When they ended, everyone was clapping, and I don't think they did standing ovations. Well, they didn't. I was there. They didn't do standing ovations, but they kept clapping like 3 times. And so they would leave and then we would continue clapping. They would come back and the clapping would get louder. And then they went back and over again, maybe 4 times, 3 times. And then they did an encore. And I was like, well, what are they going to do? Like, they have all these choices. They're all like amazing violinists and musicians and whatever. What are they going to play? And, I think they've talked about it. And Timothy just says Schindler's List. And I'm like, no way. Schindler's List? Which is kind of unfortunate because he's done all these amazing, they played Beethoven, they played Grieg, Mendelssohn. But I was so excited for them to play, and for me to hear Schindler's List, the theme from Schindler's List. Can you imagine the Schindler's List theme on a Stradivarius violin from 1709? Oh my goodness. What an experience. It was amazing. It was so good. Oh, and then they ended and we kept clapping maybe 4 or 5 times. It ended at 5 p.m. and that was it. That was done. So I left with my friend. I caught the wrong train. I was going to Osaka when I should have been at Shinkobe. So I turned around, got the right train. I was at the station, where the Shinkobe station, and there's pianos all around Kobe. I think there's like something musical going on right now in Kobe, and I was so excited because on the piano, this person was playing. Now, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's Chardas. I think it's Czardas, and it's a popular violin repertoire. It's from Hungary, I believe. The name is Hungarian. And the reason why I was so excited is because Timothy plays that song quite often. He released it on I think he has it on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Music. So I have it on my phone. And him and his brother played it as well. And it just I wanted to take a video and send it to him, but I felt awkward recording strangers play. But I was like, this is so good. Just music is so important, and I'm really glad that Kobe is exploring or trying to do this thing, especially in Japan, because there are, noise. But it's just so good for people to take a break and to listen to music of any sort. But classical music just has an effect. It's very relaxing, it's grounding, it's exciting for me at least. I don't think other people find it exciting, but it's exciting. So I was just so happy to hear that. Then I grabbed quick dinner, got on the train. And what a long journey it was. I came back to my house. I arrived at 11 p.m. or 11:20 p.m. at home, and I left at like 6:45 p.m. Yeah, so it was a long journey back home. But what a great journey and time I had in Kobe. I was so pleased. And actually, I was inspired by Timmy. I was really inspired because he's 30, as I talked about before, and he's just done so many amazing things. He's amazing at the violin. And, it's talent for sure, but as I know, and as musicians know, talent can only get you so far. The rest is hard work. And he has put in the work to do what he is doing right now. Like, I think he started playing the violin at 3 because of his brother's influence. And I was just thinking, like, I have a violin. Do I practice it? No. Mind you, I was practicing because I had to play a violin the next day at church. So I did practice a little some, but I could do more practice. So I was thinking, at least once a week, I'm going to practice violin. Just once, because I do have a busy schedule, but I brought my violin from Canada. I should use it, right? So I was so excited and just like, oh, what do I do? What book do I get? And when I did do violin lessons, I kind of was, I did a mix of RCM, Royal Conservatory of Music, and I also did Suzuki Method, which is a popular repertoire and learning lesson book for violinists. But Suzuki Method, the name is Japanese, so the Suzuki Method is quite popular in Japan. So, and I saw that Timothy learned via the Suzuki Method, so I was like, well, I might as well try that. So I bought the book 3. I was thinking that's kind of like near my level, not too hard, so I can kind of ease back into practice. And I was thinking, I could do 2 things at once. I can learn and practice the violin, but I can also learn musical theory terms in Japanese. So I can learn and practice the violin at the same time. And I haven't practiced yet, but I was reading like just the first page of the book, and I've learned a lot already. For example, in Western, in the West, we mainly use like C major, D major, E major. But what I saw in the Suzuki Method was this thing called cho, I believe. And it's like I, do, ha, ni, something. I don't remember the other ones, but I saw nicho and I was like, or nicho, and I was like, what in the world is that? So I searched it up and I found that it was D major. I'm like, well, what? Why isn't this called D major? So, and I was talking about it today with my librarian. I was like, why is this, like, why is this the thing? And she's like, well, before, I guess it was like an old notation that Japan used. Really, that's the simple answer. Mainly, Japan uses like the solfege, I think that's how you pronounce it, way to describe their music and notes. So that's do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, which is kind of confusing because I'm like, I remember hearing about that. And I was like, well, how do you know like if it's D major or C major if you like say re? I don't know. So I need to learn more about that. So, and that's part of the learning process, but it's really exciting. So yeah, I'm excited. I'll let you know. I'm gonna practice this Thursday, I think. Practice my first song and just get back into playing violin again. Thank you, Timmy, for inspiring me. And that's like, yeah, like what I want to say. If you want to get good at something, or if you're trying to like practice something, it's always good to visit or go to see somebody do it, see someone better than you do it, if that makes sense. Like if you want to get better at baseball, it's good to go to a baseball game and see the pros play, right? For me, it was going to see Timmy play the Stradivarius and also see the other orchestra performances. It just fueled me. I was like, this is so exciting and it's really great, and this is what music's about. And you have someone to look up to and to try to be like. So yeah, that's what happened during my week. There was other things, but that was the main exciting thing that I wanted to share. Yeah, thank you for listening to this podcast, and also thank you for being here for a year. I'm excited to talk about more things as the years progress. We'll see how long this podcast lasts. I have no idea what the future holds, but I think it will be bright. And until then, I will see you later.